Officials in Chicago have released the fatal police shooting of a 13-year-old named Adam Toledo. He is now, this video was something that was being withheld from the public, but the mayor of Chicago says that she demanded its release. We are not going to show the video because it features a minor getting shot and killed. But more importantly, activists on the ground have asked people to avoid posting it on social media. Now, Mayor Lori Lightfoot is pleading with the community to avoid any type of violent reaction to the release of the video. She's pleading for calm. And she also said during a press conference, we must proceed with deep empathy and calm, and importantly, peace. No family should ever have a video broadcast widely of their child's last moments, much less be placed in the terrible situation of losing their child in the first place. So this police shooting happened at 2:30 in the morning on March 29th. And the allegation here is that Adam Toledo, the 13-year-old, was with another male who allegedly had fired his weapon, not at anything in particular that we know about right now. We still don't have enough details about the story, so I wanna kind of warn you guys about that. But authorities were called. At that point, the cops opened fire and killed Adam Toledo, again, a 13-year-old, because they believed that he was armed. Now, Adam Toledo, 13, was shot by the police last month in Little Village, specifically a predominantly Latino neighborhood on the city's west side. According to law enforcement authorities, Adam was running down the alley with a gun in his hand and ignored an officer's command to stop and drop the gun. So point number one that I wanna bring up right off the bat, he's running away, okay? Whether they believed he was armed or not, he's running away, which means by the very nature of the incident, he is not posing an imminent risk or threat to the authorities. He's running away. That's an important part of the story. The other part of the story that's important to keep in mind is that, first of all, Mayor Lori Lightfoot says, I see no evidence whatsoever that Adam shot at the police. So we have not seen any evidence of that. In fact, if you look at this screenshot from the video, you see him with his hands up right before the police opened fire. Now, I reviewed the video, unfortunately, and it does appear at one point, right before he turns around and raises his arms, that he drops something, and that could have been the weapon. I don't know for sure, and I wanna be clear about that. But even so, you can see clearly in this screenshot that he's turned around with his hands up, and the authorities, the cops, shot and killed him anyway.
Yeah. So two standard huge problems here in America. One is because of our lax gun laws, everybody has guns. There's nonstop shootings in Chicago. And I don't want to hear from right wingers who are like, oh no, Chicago is a magical bubble where they can't get guns from other parts of Illinois or Indiana or any nearby state with incredible ease. So people are shooting each other, they're shooting at cops are shooting at them, and no one ever does anything about it. Now, if you go turn on Fox News, you'll see them complaining about black people all the time. Do they ever do a constructive solution for how to have less violence in Chicago or anywhere else? No, they just got black culture, black dads are not there, black people are at fault. So no, your racism is not a solution, okay? And then when cops shoot black people, what does Fox News and the right wing always say? Oh no, cops are always innocent. Do you know that more Republicans now believe Chauvin is innocent as opposed to guilty? They watched him murder a man with their own eyes, and they're like, I don't see a problem. They're Republicans. They're like, oh, a white cop killed a black guy who, in that case, was unarmed, and when I saw him do it, I'm here for it. That's who Republican voters are. So they got no solutions. And then progressives in Congress, I mean, we're every once in a while they'll say something. Do they ever do anything? In order to do something, you would have to hold your own accountable, because I got news for you, Trump's not president anymore. Joe Biden is. What did Joe Biden propose? Ghost guns. We'll get rid of ghost guns. Yeah, it's a ghost problem. Okay, that's not the issue. So now in terms of police shootings.
Hold on. Important clarification on that. We will not get rid of ghost guns. We'll just try to regulate them the same way we regulate all the other guns, which is poorly, basically.
Yeah. All right, great.
Go ahead.
So in terms of police shootings, Rashida Tlaib, bless her heart, says let's get, I forget her exact quote about basically getting rid of the police. And then everybody goes, oh my God, no, police. And then it forces everybody to go, not me, but makes everybody in media, makes Biden, et cetera, all of them go out of their way to kiss cops' asses and go, no, we will never get rid of the police. We will fund them even more, right? Look, can we focus? Can we pass anything? Can we pass anything in this Congress? So we got black people being shot nonstop. And by the way, poor white people too. And you think they're not, because we train the cops, kill. Don't take any chances with your life. If they're running away from you, who cares? If they're surrendered, who cares? If they're on the ground and they can't breathe, who cares? Just kill, because you don't want to take any chances with your life. Can we fix that? Can we do a constructive solution to fix that? Here's the constructive solutions coming out of Congress: zero. Republicans don't want to fix it. They enjoy what's happening. And Democrats are, as always, completely and utterly ineffectual. So 13-year-old gets killed in the streets. It's a unfortunately, heartbreakingly, and normal day in America.
It is. I do want to note one other thing, though, that's important. So the other person that Toledo was with was a 21-year-old male. He was the one who allegedly fired shots. And the prosecution that's currently prosecuting him is making some pretty interesting mistakes in court. So this is based on a local news outlet investigating this case. And apparently during a bond hearing for 21-year-old Reuben Roman, who was with Adam the night of the shooting, Cook County Assistant State's Attorney James Murphy described the altercation by saying that the officer tells Toledo to drop it as Toledo turns toward the officer. Toledo has a gun in his right hand. But it looks as though the prosecutor's office is kind of taking that back, or at least walking it back by saying, by now, in response to a WGN Investigates inquiry, the state's attorney's office says that detail about Adam having a gun in his hand the moment that he was shot was inaccurate. An attorney who works in this office failed to fully inform himself before speaking in court. So I just felt that it was important to share that detail with you in case you see any of this misinformation on social media. He did not have a gun in his hand the moment that he was shot by the cops here.
Yeah, and so look, I reference sometimes movies and TV shows from the old days, just as a cultural landmark, right? And if you're old enough or you watch some of those old school ones, you remember in the movies and the TV shows, the cops used to say, "Freeze, put your hands up, you're under arrest." They would say these things and they wouldn't shoot right away. You know why? Because back then, believe it or not, the police brutality against African Americans was disastrous. Don't get me wrong, it was always terrible, right? But they did not use lethal force with this degree of ease and severity. They hesitated before they killed someone. Now they're taught, don't hesitate. Oh my God, if it's just you hesitate for a nanosecond, you're gonna be carried out by 6 instead of judged by 12. Kill, right? But by the way, part of the reason that they're trained that way is everybody has a gun. So look, the one part I understand is if you're a cop, well, thanks to the Republicans, and by the way, you probably agree with it, and that's incredibly stupid on your part. If you're a cop, everyone has guns. Everybody has 12 guns. So the cops are jittery. Everybody's armed, right? And so. But if you tell them to shoot immediately, you will shoot a lot of innocent people. So this guy, this kid is 13 years old. Tamir Rice was 12 years old. That was in Cleveland. And they didn't hesitate. They shot him within 2 seconds. 2 seconds of getting out of the car, getting the gun out and shooting them. No hesitation at all of murdering a 12-year-old. They found out later, oops, it was a toy gun. In this case, they find out, oops, he'd thrown away the gun. But you were trained to not hesitate for a second because your life is 1,000 times more important than a citizen's life. That's what cops are trained. And if you hear anybody else telling you otherwise, they're lying to you, including all of the mainstream media, if that's what they say. And oftentimes it is what they say, oh, beloved cops, et cetera. No, their training is to kill us before finding out if we're innocent or guilty. And that's just the reality.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.